You're opening?
Yeah.
Go.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Mike and Lauren Live.
High five.
High five. It's Tuesday night at 8:30. We do this every Tuesday night. If it's your first time checking us out, be sure to look at one of our other videos. They're shorter and more well thought out and organized and edited. And these are just our thoughts and ramblings. But welcome.
Hi. Tonight, what are we talking about? Oh, do we have any housekeeping? I don't think so. Oh, the new shop.
Finish your shop.
Yes.
That's pretty exciting.
The Garage Mahal is awesome. And it's going to be moving tools in soon. And, oh, we said the new video or channel idea.
Yes.
Positive response to that so far, so that's a possibility.
Well, tell them what it is.
Oh, the idea that we create a new channel called Mike Makes, where I do work in the shop, and then on Sundays, instead of DIY stuff, it would just be a weekly vlog but of us recording ourselves daily. So it's like a daily vlog, but we cut out all the crap. You only get the fun and interesting stuff. So it's a weekly vlog, a daily vlog once a week. That's a mouthful. Daily vlog once a week. What else is going on? I think that's it.
I went to the dentist.
Cool.
Yeah.
Let's get right into the comments real quick because Danny is flying asks, what happens to the is college worth it? I'm going to college and I actually want to know. That's a really hard one for us to do, mostly because we both dropped out of college. So it is such a big undertaking that we need to interview people and that sort of thing. And we already have the Jim Collins videos that we're still working on, and we have a cruise coming up. We actually have never said this yet. We have a cruise coming up in a couple weeks with Lauren's mom, and we wanted to do one of our most popular videos on our YouTube channel, believe it or not, is our cruising
like insider tips from our trip.
One of the things that Lauren's mom, little gift she gave to us without really even realizing it, is we've always vacationed with her on Royal Caribbean cruises. So we're actually about to be Diamond, like the highest. So we're going to have like not the highest, but we're going to have like the access lounge, blah, blah, blah. Just because ever since she was a kid, she always went on the same cruise line.
Yeah, I got grandfathered in.
Yeah, so, and I'm grandfathered in with her because she was grandfathered in to her mom. So, anyways, we have that video. We have lots of big over what projects? Overview projects, like the Is College Worth It? It is something I really want to do because I think a lot of people are asking it, but I know nothing about it. It's going to be a very research-heavy video. So, it's coming. Realistically this year, yes. I would like to think that this 2015 it'll happen. Okay, moving on. Sharuk says, another great topic. Looking forward to the discussion. Thank you. We are too, because we have some thoughts and what we're looking forward to in this one. Obviously, personalities are very personal. So please let us know what resonates with you, what personality type you think you are, you are, as we go along. Because
this was our first time doing these tests.
Yeah.
Just today.
Yeah.
We decided, let's do them.
And the results were interesting. We'll reveal those in a little bit. So why did this even come up? Actually, this video was originally titled a couple different turns. The video was originally titled, before I clicked post today at 11 o'clock, is being an extrovert required to be a YouTuber? That's how this video started. So maybe we'll touch on that at the end. But then this took a turn that there's a lot of people online, especially in the early retirement community, that say that there's a disproportionate amount of INTJ, is that the right phrasing of those letters? In the early retirement community.
Which there are. So there seem to be.
Which has been confirmed by Jacob of Early Retirement Extreme. Mr. Money Mustache did a quick survey and he found similar results. And then
big site
there was a big, actually it wasn't a big site, there was a big survey, Retardly Earlier homepage did one with Motley Fool and found that 3 personality types stood out in the study: ISTJ, INTJ, and INTP. All the introverted.
This is all like Myers-Briggs personality test.
Yes. So when we're saying all these letters, basically, if it starts with an I, that means kind of heavily biased towards introvert. If it starts with an E, it's more heavily biased towards extrovert. It's not saying one or the other, just a higher percentage in that direction. And they concluded that those 3 personality types, which make up about 8% of the population in total, actually account for 65% of the respondents in the survey that said that they were favorable towards early retirement. So even though they make up 8% of the population, they make up 65% of the early retirement community. So there's a lot of anecdotal evidence, there's a lot of hearsay, and there's some informal survey evidence that suggests that there's a disproportionate amount of INTJs or similar making up the early retirement community. And in researching this, it was actually pretty interesting because it really was enlightening for us in the way that we do our videos, because it really kind of crystallized the idea that not everyone wants to retire early. In fact, we're in the minority for wanting to, and
which we kind of knew.
Right, but it's easy to forget with such a community of so many people who talk about it, and when it's all you read and it's all you talk about, that, you know, I would think the majority would follow along the lines of thoughts of like they find meaning and identity and challenge in their jobs.
Right. In their position.
Right. And that if they're not called manager or if they're not doing this particular task, that
they're not staying busy.
Exactly. So was interesting for us to really shed some light onto that.
And check comments.
And we could go back and check comments real quick. Yes. Sharuk was INTJ. More recently, ISFJ. Interesting. And it does change frequently. And there's a lot of, I guess we should sidebar and say there is a lot of, what is the word when something is not taken too seriously? Anyways, there's a lot of, your personality type can change day to day, but it kind of just stays similar areas. Anyways, so a lot of the times when we tell people that we're going to retire at 31 and 29, 30, depending on what time of year it is, say, won't you be bored? I could never live like that. What will you do with your time? You can only play so much golf, blah, blah, blah. And when I hear that, I completely don't understand it, because if I had nothing to do tomorrow but whatever I wanted to do, I still couldn't find enough time in the day. So my personality type is completely different from most people who would think that they'd be bored in extreme early retirement. So this was the first time that we ever took these tests, and Lauren was...
now you're gonna have to scroll down to it. I'm ESFJ.
Yes. So she is extroverted, I think S is senses, feely, and judgy. Those are all really, really shortened. Those are not the right words, but those are the key words. And no surprise, but it was actually a surprise to me, because I did not think I would fall so in line letter to letter. But I was...
I knew it.
Yeah, I was exactly an INTJ. And
it's pretty much the opposite of me.
Yes. So there's two things that were both surprising and not surprising. Not surprising that I was to the letter what this anecdotal evidence and survey results suggests, and also that we know that we are exact opposites, and we are nearly personality Myers-Briggs free online thing. We didn't pay for it, so it's not really even real. But for what it said, opposites, which is very interesting. That we'll get into this in a minute. Why is she attracted to the early retirement stuff if her personality type is the exact opposite?
Spoiler alert, I really don't know.
Yeah. So, what are some reasons why I think that INTJs kind of skew towards early retirement? There's a couple things that they do. Like, they have common desires of independence, curiosity, frugality, and order, which are all kind of in the early retirement kind of ballpark, or wheelhouse, if you will. And in the same way, in general, they have less respect for authority and kind of go with the flow of whatever works, which I would say is pretty true of me. I wouldn't say that I don't disrespect authority.
No, depends on the authority.
Disrespect? You think I disrespect authority?
You dropped out of college because you didn't think your professors knew what they were talking about.
So, depending on the authority, but I wouldn't say I would be disrespectful to an authority. But, and then just some other things that I find interesting in that we're opposites is that I have a very high tolerance for frustration. Like, that if something's not going right, I will still just kind of go along with it and not get frustrated because I expect things to go wrong, I guess. And this is where we're both the same, and I wonder if you got this from me, that we're both very flexible.
Probably.
people? Were you flexible? Would
don't
you
think
consider
so.
yourself flexible, like adaptable?
Now, I wouldn't have before. I'm much more go with the flow now.
Yeah. And also, very experiential, that I would rather do something with, and this is where we're opposites again. I would rather experiment and do it with my own two hands and figure out the best way, and you would much rather have an instruction booklet and follow them to the line detail. And so I think those are all things that are advantages in
Early retirement
and pursuing that sort of thing. So that brings up the question, does not being that type of personality mean you're less likely to achieve early retirement?
And that's where
or financial independence?
I don't really have an answer, because I think about what's attractive about early retirement to me, because what my personality comes out as doesn't really make sense. And I don't know if it's because of you, or if it's because I have the picture in my head now of the freedom and the ability to do whatever we want whenever we want. I don't really have an answer. I was reading through the comments on one of the posts that Jacob had, and I thought it was funny that people were saying, well, I'm not that, so that must be why I can't retire early. And I think that's not a very smart mindset to have. If you think that it seems interesting, why would your personality stop you from doing that? You know, being bored, find something that you enjoy doing. I don't know.
So could you find, if you were put into a room for yourself by a week, could you entertain yourself?
By myself for a week?
Mm-hmm.
Probably. It would be difficult.
It would be, so what would you
By
do?
myself? Like, do I have stuff with me?
You can do anything in the room, yeah.
Oh, yeah, I'd be fine.
Okay, 2 weeks. 3 weeks.
But I'm not going to be somewhere by myself. I'm going to be somewhere with you.
Yeah.
When we went on our trip, I didn't get bored with you, and I didn't get sick of you, and it was fun. It wasn't a chore to be with you without an agenda. And I don't know if I've adapted to your way of doing some things that, you know, I'm okay with the go with the flow now. I don't.
So how do you think that it is that you can, because clearly you can't change your personality.
No, because that's.
Because she took the test, and that was without even appreciating the things that maybe I appreciate. You know, she still came out with that. But so does that mean you're even more flexible? Like, what does that mean that
That's what I can't figure out.
That you can appreciate the things that I appreciate, but your personality is still your own? Do you guys know? I don't.
I don't have an answer.
Let's
I don't
check
quite
the
understand
comments
it.
and see what we've got going on. Kevin asks, are introverts more risk averse, more disciplined, more long-term focused?
I don't think they're more risk adverse.
No, I don't think that, but I think generally they're more disciplined and more long-term focused. In fact, Jacob had an article about how, you know, the movement back in, was it the 90s was Seize the Day? I don't remember. How Seize the Day, what is that? Carpe diem. Seize the day for the artisan, or like the free spirit, is exactly what they wanted, and that movement grew. But for an introvert or rational, that that wasn't necessarily what they want to do, which is kind of interesting. I guess what it really comes down to is that these aren't hard lines, because I actually associate myself in some of those questions, like some of the questions I could kind of tell like which way they were trying to get you to go, and I could be like, yeah, I could go this way.
Well, and to be honest, I was very close to being in the middle of the extrovert, introvert. I don't, because sometimes I see myself as being an extrovert, but not completely, because I would often rather just stay at home, or when we do go out, I don't want to be in a big crowd. I don't, you know.
Well, this is why I don't know if I'm an introvert or not, but here's an example. Over the weekend, we were working on the shed, and we came over to church to grab a cup of coffee. And the idea of having to go through the Grand Hall and talk to everybody was a bit overwhelming. So does that mean I'm an introvert?
Probably.
Or does that mean that if I just prefer talking, I guess I just don't like talking small talk to people. I'd rather, I can talk to anybody. It doesn't matter what we have in common or what we don't. I just would rather talk to you longer and kind of learn something about you and that sort of thing, instead of just small talk with
Where have you
everybody.
been?
Yeah, to everybody and a bunch of people. And that's me.
Ooh, I like that point. Richard Sibley?
Sibley?
They essentially use work as a reason to avoid thinking about what they would rather be doing. That's a really good point. That, well, I can't retire early because I've got this going on, and that's.
Would you associate yourself with that?
No.
No?
No.
Okay. Sharuk says, from what I've seen of you in your videos, you really are quite opposite. Mike's selling of e-RFIs worked well with Lauren, and she adopted some of the freedom ideas that she has on her own. So this is actually a good point, which actually brings up another long-term video, which is getting your spouse on board with the finances that we both have a little bit of experience with and don't have experience with. Because it hasn't been a struggle or a fight necessarily, but we are two different personality types. So we do have some insight on successfully getting two partners on board in the same direction.
Well, because we've talked about, this isn't something that I think I naturally would have been drawn to.
Right.
I would not have found it on my own, and I don't think if I was the one doing the convincing, I don't think I would have been convincing this way.
Which is an interesting point to make about the early retirement community is, what if Mr. Money Mustache and Jacob and all these early retirement bloggers just write in the style of an INTJ, so we are naturally drawn to them because of their writing style and the way they lay out details, or the way they don't lay out details, or things like that, instead of...
Makes sense, because I don't necessarily... I'm not drawn to that, so...
So you're drawn to the ideas of early retirement,
Yeah.
but not the... Interesting. Kevin R. says, Richard, you're right on. Oh, sorry, we skipped some. Shrook says, Lauren may be what's called an outgoing introvert who doesn't draw energy from others, but yet is still able to socially function. See, it's interesting that you use the word socially function, which is why maybe maybe I'm an outgoing introvert or something, because I wouldn't say I'm socially inept. Like, if I'm put into a room full of people or into the hall and having to talk to people, I can do it. It's just not my preference. I would rather not do that. So is that your preference to do that kind of thing?
My preference to...
Just talk to people.
It depends.
Just make your rounds.
Like
Like we talked to Alex. Alex has been in a couple of videos. He loves going just to talk to people and catch up with people. Which
I think that I will eventually, but right now, I'm just tired by the end of a Sunday. I avoid eye contact.
Yeah. Interesting. We've got...
Just move that down so you don't have to lean forward.
Oh yeah, I guess I could do that. Kevin R. says, plus Richard, you're right on. When I ask people how they are doing or what's new, they always first talk about their jobs.
Well, and it's such a common thing. Oh, I'm Lauren and I do blah, blah, blah.
Your entire identity is your job.
Yeah, I think that is kind of silly.
Edmund says, have a conversation more meaningful instead of short, hey, how are you? See you later. That's hard to do in that situation when there's 1,000 people in a room and everybody knows everybody and everyone's trying to catch up with everyone. I don't think that's very possible.
It's just not the right
time for that
place,
anyway. Yeah.
right.
And some people eat that up. That's, in fact, the majority of people, I think from what we've gathered, is that the majority of people prefer that sort of interaction. Astro Camper says, people People that like things never retire early. People that like money retire early.
But I think that's something that can change. I mean, maybe it can't change. Maybe that's not a mindset you can change. I feel like it could be. But if things rule, then why would you want, I don't know. Why would you want to change that if that's all that's important to you?
If it is important to you. So I think that's where I've kind of seen a little bit different side of things is if people enjoy their things, then what's wrong with that? So early retirement isn't for everyone. Work shouldn't be convincing people that our way is better. Kevin says they never had to lead.
They never lead by talking about their children, hobbies, passions. Right.
That's true. Because very few people actually know what their hobbies or passions are, sadly. I'm not sure if it's a personality trait, but being okay with delayed gratification is important early
It's a really
retirement.
good point.
Yes. And I don't know if I agree. I don't know if that's a personality trait. I think that's something we've just sort of been taught.
I think it might
recently.
be something you can learn, though.
Yeah.
Because I feel like I've learned delayed gratification.
Mm-hmm.
Used to want things now. And now I'm not so bad.
Sharuk says, I like Erie and MMM because they focus on bigger picture issues, not trivial BS. And that is INTJ in a nutshell. And that's why I think we're both drawn to them, and probably why you're not necessarily. She hasn't read all of their articles. Brett says, I don't care about money at all. That's why I want to retire early, so I don't have to think about it and work for it. That's a video that is on our ideas list, actually, Brett. It's funny you say that. And the comments are so funny, isn't it? How basically the gist in a nutshell is people think we do nothing but think about money, but in reality, we do all this so we don't have to think about money. And then there's the other side of the coin that everybody is always thinking about money. You're either broke and worrying about where the next dollar is going to come from to make ends meet, or you're thinking about money in the sense that you're saving. Where are you going to spend it? Yeah, how are you going to save it so that you don't spend it? So we're all thinking about money. We're just thinking about it differently. And so there might be two videos there. One, that everyone is always thinking about money, and two, that we think about money a lot less often than you probably think we do.
Because we don't have to.
And, oh, I was going to go to a quote real quick. Where did that one go? When we were talking about how if you want things, then what's wrong with changing that? Jacob had a quote that said, a current popular meme is collecting experiences instead of collecting things. This is the artisan talking again. They like experiences more than anyone else. Guardians like their houses, their furnishing, their cars, and if we talk about they'd much prefer the experience of being promoted from bureaucrat level 6 to bureaucrat level 7 over, the travel or the collecting these experiences. And basically, the gist is there's nothing wrong with either. We're just very different people. And that's what I've learned through researching for this video, is that we need to appreciate more that everyone is very wildly different, and that when we make our videos, we need to keep that in mind. So a good example is we talk a lot how we're planning on and still planning on real estate investing. Well, something we don't fail to mention is that the aspect of something that we do fail to mention is that the aspect of fixing up these properties and maintaining them is actually appealing to me. Like the idea of solving problems.
He wants to do that.
Right. So when anyone else thinks of investing and we recommend, investing in stocks and a mixture of real estate, well, we fail to say, well, I have a personality where that's very appealing to me. Whereas someone like Jim Collins has said that that's the exact opposite of what he wants to do. He hates doing that kind of stuff. And then there's the type of people, so I'm not saying like that I would like to evict a person, but if the idea of having to evict someone, literally you just want to crawl into a hole and never do it, then real estate investing probably isn't for you. I should mention that when we say that, we're thinking about it, that I'm not afraid of confrontation, and I'm not afraid of, and I actually enjoy fixing things and solving problems. So that's what we've gotten out of this research, is we can do better in our videos for you guys. If there's no more comments, we are at 22 minutes again. We do have a couple. Hey guys, first time in your live video. Interesting topic. Thanks, Dan for 10. Thanks for being here. Do we have any other comments? We will keep going. Let's close it down here. We'll wait the 15-30 seconds if anyone has any more comments.
I think I was going to say something else. Go back down. Can I read? What was the other thing I saw? I saw that there were the 4 money personalities or something, and it was interesting that Mike's personality with that was that he's the planner, and mine was that I'm the guardian, which I thought made sense also.
And that's exactly what was interesting to me, is that Jacob was saying that over 50% of the population are guardians, and that they like their houses and their furniture and their, secure job, and there's nothing wrong with that.
But again, I fall into that guardian, but I don't care about the house and I don't care about the things. So
that's what I'm interested in.
Where did I fall off the wagon?
We'll end with that in the comments after the show, in the regular comments, not the chat. How does that work? If anyone is a psychologist or knows how that works, how does your personality completely different than your actions and your habits and your feelings? I would love to know.
Maybe I should go find a shrink.
Yeah? Okay. Last 2 comments. For me, it's more about time than the money. I agree with you very much. They stopped making time, so... I took the test. I'm an ISTJ, which is, I think, if we go back... Yeah. If we go back to that survey, ISTJ is one of the 3 that make up 65% of early retirees. Interesting. We'll close with that. Thanks, guys, for watching. We will see you...
Friday.
Have
a good week.
Bye.